The amps couldn't take it, but now we got these amps that they work. You know, we can really push them, and we could blow this place apart if we wanted to. We'd set up everything.
Why do you play so loud?
We like that. I don't know, you know.
You
We don't know. We have why
Something makes us like it.
we
don't have any control over it.
Control.
The Ramones are really great. I think they're far out, man. I mean, like, they get a little into sniffing glue, which is bad, you know. But if you don't do it too much, it doesn't cost anything. It's not long, you know, if you don't do it all the time. I like the Ramones personally. I think they're great. You know, but I went to one of their parties a few weeks ago, and that's why I wore this T-shirt tonight. In commemoration of the Ramones. I was raped by a groupie. This big, tall girl, big breasts. She ripped my T-shirt off.
Energy, that's what it is. And nobody else has that.
I remember one particularly bad moment is, well, I think even Dee Dee leaving the band was a bad moment. You know, when Dee Dee left the band, I felt that was a bad moment. But I felt bad moments make you feel like you have to get stronger and defeat the problem. You know, I just took it as fine. We'll continue. You know, I remember playing a show with Ted Nugent and Aerosmith in Canada. That was a bad moment.
Very bad.
Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, they were on the sides of the stage watching us play. I guess they were looking forward to seeing the Ramones, and the whole audience was booing and throwing things at us.
Their lunches.
Throwing their lunches, their shoes,
Sneakers.
yeah. And after about the sixth song, I just went to the front of the stage, went like that to the audience. I just walked off. It was too embarrassing. You walk off and you shrink as you go off.
Yeah.
You know, you start off, you're like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
You leave the stage, you're like
down to a foot.
Your foot.
Yeah.
And you just think, I hope they didn't notice.
Yeah, right.
You know, as long as it's fun and you're getting up there and you're enjoying yourself and you feel that the Ramones are still delivering, then it's worth continuing, because, you know, you're going to miss this when it's all over. You know, we'll miss it. Our fans might miss it too, you know, but we'll miss this when it's over. But once you're getting up there, there's no point in just getting up there just for the money and hating being up there or being a shadow of your former self. Then it's not worth doing.
Say, guys, I wonder if you'd mind recording a couple of promos for us.
Well, like what?
Maybe you could say, nobody rocks like Bill and Marty on KBBL.
Well, we don't know that, do we? What if somebody rocks as good as you?
Or better. I mean, we don't want to look stupid.
There's another program coming, is Top Rock. You could say, I listen to Top Rock videos. I listen to Top Rock.
How do I listen to it? I've never seen the show.
Well, I will send it to you. Okay? I'm Johnny Ramone.
I can't say I listen to it if I don't listen to it. I haven't heard it.
Okay, I will listen to Top Rock. Whatever you want to say of Top Rock, okay?
Okay, we can respect that.
How about rock-a-doodle-doo, you're listening to Bill and Marty?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Everyone out there should listen to Top Rock.
It's good.
Okay. Well, working with Phil is very difficult because I guess he's a perfectionist, so he likes to spend a lot of time redoing things and re-listening, and it's very time-consuming. It becomes very hard for, rock and roll's got to be spontaneous and done a little faster.
I like beauty to be instant, you know, and not to be labored over, and I don't like music to be a hustle. You know, I think we can adequately go into a studio and do it and not just be frustrated, and Phil seemed to be frustrated with us.
I think he's frustrated himself, really.
He wasn't the most friendly guy I've ever met. He tried to be friends, but then he had guns on him, and he wouldn't let me out of his house for a couple days, and you know, he wouldn't let. And then if he said if you want to play his pinball machine, he'd let you play it for a minute, and then he'd say, okay, everybody to another room. And I never met anyone like him, and I hope you know.
Now, he's just too difficult to work with, and it's too costly and time-consuming, and in the 1980s. You know, you can't spend, I mean, the opening chord to a song of Rock and Roll High School, he spent 12 hours sitting there listening to that same chord over and over again. I mean, it's just not worth it. Then nobody else could hear the difference. The chord came out sounding okay, but 12 hours worth ain't really worth it, you know? You just go crazy. You would be as crazy as him if we worked with him. Times have changed, and most producers from the mid-'60s haven't really grown with the changes. They're not able to do what producers now can do. There's a new modern sound, and he doesn't have it.
No.
His time's passed. We wanted to work with Phil because of, I mean, the guy is a legend, and we thought it'd be a very good idea to work with a legend. And you never know when it be his last project. And plus, we didn't really know how difficult it is to work with the guy before we stepped into it. We found out.
You know, like when before I wanted to work with him 100%, and I was gung-ho for the project, but he came off differently. He seemed more positive and more able. And when I got into the studio, I found him to be like a helpless little boy or something, like a very helpless person. He didn't know what to do. And that just stifles creativity when you just hang around in agony and frustration and stomp your foot and say, oh, what are we going to do? And all. You know, that doesn't bring out anything in anybody.
I guess faced with the project, he was very enthused, and then when she gets to that all of a sudden now it's the time, I guess then he must get a bit nervous about that all of a sudden it's getting near the time where he has to put out a project which is going to be criticized.
He seemed like a man.
Then, you know, then it becomes very hard. It gets harder and harder for him to finish the project from the time at pre-production.
He seemed like a man walking his last mile doing our record, you know, that grim.
I'm talking to the Ramones right now. Joey, Johnny, Judy, and Marky, you have your people here with you.
You got the best fans in the world, you know?
Well, I guess so. They love you. And by the way, your names aren't really Ramon. You just didn't know.
It's a coincidence.
You never. It's a coincidence.
Yeah.
It just all happened.
When we met in the elevator, we all have the same last name. You know?
You never give your real names, but you don't want your mothers to be subjected to that.
Disgraced.
Right.
Yeah. How'd you?
My mother just left the country, you know.
How did you get together, you guys?
We started like summer of 1974, and we grew up together, lived in the same block, we were friends. Something we always wanted to do.
It's a natural phenomena.
Can you see?
Yes. Well,
Yeah?
don't do it there.
Oh,
It's not the right spot, you know.
All right. And by the way, you know.
I was meaning to get a haircut. You know.
But you didn't have time.
No, it's too many things to do, you know.
What do you do?
What do I do?
What do you guys do all day?
Nothing.
That was a great
You know,
number
we
that
feel
you did.
cheated that Tom ain't here.
Thanks a lot.
We don't appreciate, you know, not that, you know,
We wanted to
nothing
argue with
personal,
him.
You know, right.
What do you want to argue with him about?
Anything.
Okay, well, I'll argue with you about something. I loved your number, but I couldn't understand a word you said. Do you people understand?
We don't sing words, just sounds.
It's all telepathy, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So they have to get it just by osmosing the whole...
They osmosed it in.
You started back in the mid-'70s. I want to know...
I was going to type out a lyric sheet for you tonight, but...
I have it. We want the airways. This business is killing me. The Ku Klux Klan is stealing my baby away.
Yeah.
And teenage
Bad day.
lobotomy. Yeah.
You got it all.
I got it. I got it. And you're doing really well with it. But you started punk, kind of.
Well,
we consider it a genuine rock and roll, you know, from the gut, you know.
rock and roll was meant for punks, and that's it started.
I guess Elvis Presley started
in the
rock and roll or
mid-'50s.
something, you know.
Yeah, but punk is an answer to all the glitter and the stuff that costs a lot of money that you can afford.
Punk is just a rebellious rock for all kids all over.
I mean, real rock and roll was punk.
Not a bunch of old men playing music for your mothers and fathers. And that's what you have now. It's what they call rock.
For instance?
Sticks.
Yeah, Sticks, Kansas, Foreigner, stuff like that. Your parents should listen to this. I mean,
Is it mellowing
My
out?
mother doesn't even listen to that.
Your mother's more hip than that?
Yeah.
it's just, they just want to clean up music and just push
Pat Boone and all
push
that.
mediocrity on the on the public.
So you're back to your tattered jeans and your sneakers and your leather jackets and nothing fancy and just
Well, we
do
just
it.
wanted to be real. We wanted to be ourselves and not put on a bunch of phony clothes.
Yeah, but wait a minute now. Is this real?
Well, we wore what we always wore.
Yeah, no, but isn't this a uniform too? I mean, you all
We
have the
went
same jacket on.
over it. When we started the group, we were talking about what we were going to wear. You know, when we started thinking about it, and we just decided to wear what we had.
This is what we were wearing before we were in the band.
We were thinking of getting dressed up and all that too, you know, and then we decided not to, because
All the big rock stars are wearing what we wear now, like Billy Joel. They're wearing their leather jackets and Queen and.
They're trying to be the Ramones too.
Right, and all those stars.
The Sex Pistols, the Clash, those groups in England went beyond really what you're doing as far as becoming very politically,
not so.
violent, safety pins through their
They
cheeks.
didn't do those things. There were just bands that wanted to play rock music too. It's just a fashion started from clothes stores, and the public media just picked up on a few assorted people.
You know, how the media's into sensationalism.
And
all
just
that.
showed them. The Clash and the Sex Pistols don't wear those things.
Hey, Joey, can you look up and, I mean, with your hair like this, see, could you get in a car accident real bad? I mean, you could get hit by a bus.
Right. Well, you know, I've had a few scrapes there, you know, but I think God's on my side tonight. And so,
That's dangerous. And then you got the
Yes.
glasses besides.
Yes,
and-
right.
But you guys have to have fun with it. You have a sense of humor about the whole thing, right?
Well, rock's meant to be fun.
Right.
The man says without a smile on his face. Are you laughing?
No.
With
the
us or
happiest
at
guy
us?
I
Or
know, you know?
Well, I'm kind of worried about you, Joey.
Well, I'm pretty happy myself.
Are you?
I've been waiting 2 years to be on this show, you know?
How do you feel about the bands that you really inspired back in the mid-'70s, like Blondie and these people, that have, in a sense, commercially eclipsed you? Does that make you mad at all?
No. I mean, they took that way to do that, and play, you know, disco music and things like that to make it. We do what we believe in. We have our integrity, and we're happy doing what we do.
The only band that's
probably
the only band that stuck to its original ideals, you know. Everybody else took the easy route, you know. Everybody else either went the sound of Bruce Springsteen, like Elvis Costello and people like that, or they went disco, or they went reggae or something like that. And we're the only band that stuck to our original idea, you know. And
Which was hard-driving rock and roll.
That's what rock and roll's all about, you know.
Yeah.
And we're not mad. We're doing what we want to do, and we're happy doing this.
And you're making some money,
Right.
obviously.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's room for everybody. There's no reason to shut out one kind of music, you know. There's room for everybody, you know.
What about radio? You
What
guys
about
have said, well, you guys have said that you're not thrilled about. Do you get a lot of airplay?
No.
Why not?
Because radio's like television, and all they want to do is push crap on the public.
That's
Not this show. This show is one of the better shows on television. I'm talking about... I mean, I'd say something bad about this show, too, but I just feel that way. I mean, I'm just talking
Well,
about
this
situation
show
comedies
puts
and things like
everybody
that.
on, if that's what you
Right.
yeah.
I'm talking about situation comedies.
But what about
It's like the
radio? Yeah, that must make you mad because you
something or
really,
something,
yeah, you really thrive. I mean, you survive on airplay, don't you? You need that to sell your records. So.
Yeah.
Well,
It helps.
Radio just turned into a big business. It's you know, just pushing mediocrity and just like it's just, all they care about is money now. Like take the '60s, was definitely the most innovative time in the history of rock and roll and radio, where they play everything and they look for new things to play. And the DJs were the hip people, and they turned us onto the Beatles and various people like that. I mean, nowadays, you know, the DJs could care less. It's just a salary, and it's just radio's totally sterile. You know, it's
They
all
play their hit
formulated
list.
and homogenous.
you don't really need it though.
Really?
We haven't had it, and we're getting along just fine without it. And kids don't, just because there is no radio doesn't mean that kids have to be stuck with mediocrity and not thinking. They just have to discover things on their own, whether it's us or anyone else. You know.
Do you write all your own stuff?
Yeah, well, we've done a few covers by some other people too, but mostly we write our own songs.
Phil Spector did one of your albums.
Yeah,
That's
he
going
produced one.
Yeah. What have you got in the future?
Well,
What's
our new
coming
album
up?
just came out, Pleasant Dreams. It came out a month ago. And we're just touring America right now. We'll be going to the Midwest this coming month. And
How do you do in the Midwest?
Oh, very good. It's a good place.
Do those people understand what you're about?
Oh, yeah, kids are the same everywhere. I mean, basically, if you want to come and have a good time and be entertained. So, you know, everywhere's the same.
It's the kids in the suburbs, like the Midwest, that are really kind of cheated because, you know, a lot of people don't go over to that, you know, like we hit all the nooks and crannies, you know, whereas a lot of the big bands just play all the 20,000 Civic auditoriums in the country, and we don't, you know, we play for the people, you know, whereas they play for the money, and they could care less if the kids can dance or sing, you know, or if the bouncer breaks their head, they could care less, you know.
Well, actually, you know, I've seen these big bands come through, these big groups like say,
too, you know?
yeah, they come by and they have 9,000 people following them. I mean, you don't need all that money anyway. You don't put it into clothes. I mean,
But we don't go out to the Midwest and really shock anybody. We're just the same as they are. We're not. We may be a group based down in New York, but we're all kids from Queens. We're suburban people. And we have the same problems that everybody else has in Detroit or in Ohio or anywhere else. And
we got
that's why
stock in
kids are
Levi's,
relating
though,
to us.
but you do. The Ramones, thanks very much for coming down. You sure you're okay, Joey?
Yes, I'll survive.
All right, okay. Thanks very much. They started out in a paint store and they've...
There we go.
Last month, a Minneapolis...
You hear that? That voice is Johnny Sloth. He's a three-toed fixture in San Francisco. He walks up and down the streets when there's no traffic, looking for berries and other garbage that the restaurants have thrown out. Sloth. Sloth.
Fuck are you?
Sloth.
Hi, Chummy. How are you doing today?
How's my fellow William Sloth? Huh?
Have you filmed any pretty girls on the ship?
So they were trying out drummers and everything, and it was just a mess looking for drummers. They didn't understand what we were doing, because the band was starting to get good, and starting to get fast. And the drummers just couldn't keep up. And the group kept getting faster and faster. And I would sit down to show the drummers what to do. I haven't never played drums in my life, but I knew what it's supposed to sound like. So I sat down, I would show them what to do, and I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So, I don't know. We came on another bright idea. Why don't I play drums? So I said, okay, sure. So that's sort of how I got involved as a drummer in the band. And we went and made a demo. The demo sounded great. We started going around to record companies. They said we sucked. But finally, Craig Leon came down, saw us at CBGB's, and said we were great. He brought one record company executive down. We sucked. But finally, he convinced Seymour that we were great. Because Seymour liked us. We were signed. For $6,000, we made an album. It's a great album. Okay, so that's how we got started.
Is he all right?
Hey, pizza!
Great.
What are you doing here?
Oh, these are my songs. I've been trying to get them to you for the longest time.
Hey, it's Rick Brendel. I'm number one fan.
Oh, wow, you remembered my name.
This is the big time, girlie. This is rock and roll.
Yeah, well, this rock and roll high school.
Rock and roll high school?
Yeah, I wrote it for Mr. McGree's music class, but I really wrote it for you, Joey.
Hey, pizza! Great, let's dig in.
Yeah, I want some.
Oh, thanks.
How many times do I have to tell you? No pizza for you, Joey. More wheat German, riboflavin. Yeah, come on, Joey, eat good. See, I'm gonna eat some myself too. Organic alfalfa sprouts. Come on, Joey. Good. Come on, eat, Joey. Good boy. Yeah, Mama, I love you. You like it, huh? Huh? Good. Yeah. Iron, niacin, B12, grown from the earth. Good.
Cherish
Joey.
this
Good. I
moment
love you. I love
forever.
you. This is how I like to see you, my son. Okay, girlie. The boys will take a look at them and get back to you tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, we're going to be in town one more day, and if we like them, we'll come and pay you, Mr. McGloob, a visit.
Say hi to Vince for us.
Oh, wow. This is the happiest day of my life. Gabba, hey.
You were innovators, obviously. I mean, you still are, but so many people now are crediting you with the whole, you know...
They should, you know.
You do like to take all the credit for what's happening in
Yeah,
music
well, we
these days.
deserve it, you know. Well,
but it wasn't...
Credit what credit's due, you know.
It probably wasn't until you went over to Europe that things really started to happen. I mean, like, what was happening here, or let's say in North America for you at the time? Were you just like people looking at you like you were nuts or something?
Nothing was happening anywhere, you know. It was like we were the only people doing what we were doing. Nobody else was doing what we were playing. And when we went to England, they were listening to pub rock, Dr. Feelgood and stuff like that. And it wasn't until after we left, you know, we played 2 sold-out shows. And I guess the more hipper people, like the people that now are in the Clash and people like that, you know, they had gotten our import album and they were in tune to what we were doing. And after we left, the whole British invasion kicked off. The whole, the Clash, the Pistols, the Jam,
The Damned.
You know, Damned, right?
So you feel responsible for that?
Well, out of the new thing, yeah.
The new generation,
I mean,
the new revolution or something.
We were the first of the new things, but, I mean, they started calling it whatever, punk rock and all, but,
We could always come here very early in our career and play, though.
Toronto's one of the first places that we came to, outside New York, you know.
Local scene, you know, like original groups. There's always something happening.
A lot of energy. Yeah.
We've probably been here about 8 times, and places like upstate New York we've only been to twice.
You find you get wider acceptance than in a place like Toronto than maybe some other places in the States?
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's a good city. It's a good city.
It took a little longer in America because America's so huge, you know, and it's different. You know?
They weren't looking for anything new, really, in America.
Yeah, they were
you know,
very content.
Well, how did you manage to emerge out of that void? Where did you get your inspiration from?
Everything was getting soft. There was no more pop-type music. There was a pop scene in England, still, in the early 70s with Slade and Gary Glitter and things like that, but America wasn't having that stuff. And so just started doing what we do.
You were ahead of your time at the time, don't you think?
Yeah, that's why I guess it's taken so long, and now you're finally getting acceptance.
Yeah,
and
it's like 6 years later, and now the world's kind of caught up to us.
You know, you always had a critical acceptance because you know, critics look for new things and not really stuck on the same thing. But you know, to get the general acceptance, it's been hard.
And it seems that now groups, it's like, you know, they've been out for like a year and they're like making millions of bucks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
do you resent that?
Well, it's good, and you know, it sort of bothers you when you see somebody have it so easy, but it's good for you because if somebody else succeeds, that just makes it seem more acceptable to everyone. You know, like when somebody like the Knack has a hit and they're considered new wave, and the Cars and Blondie, it just makes a bigger market, I guess. More people are interested.
And then people are also like curious about where it all originated from, and then, you know, we're focused upon, you know, but you know, like it bugs you, but you just gotta, you know,
it shows the radio that there's an audience for this stuff out there. I mean, if they didn't have this acceptance, those groups, they would make it just that much harder for you. So you know, it's okay.
Well, it's like taking over the world now, and also it's we turned the airwaves around, you know, whereas now the new music is heavily dominating the radio, as where before it was heavily dominated by heavy metal and disco, like, you know, Foreign and Toto, people like that, you know. And now those people, they're all shaken up because they don't know which way to turn. Like last year they could have gone disco, but this year they don't know what to do, you know. So it's good. Get rid of them too.
Last summer you performed at a heavy metal concert here in town, the Canadian World Music Festival, and you didn't get that great a response. I understand the audience gave you a bit of a hard time.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't have been playing really with Aerosmith and Ted Nugent. I mean, we think those groups are good. I mean, you know, for what they do.
Yeah, they were watching us, and they even said, "Oh, sorry that this happened."
Yeah, Steve Tyler came back.
This wasn't the right billing. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, those are the best groups doing what they do. I mean, you know, Aerosmith and Ted Nugent. But this isn't right.
The audience was a little rude.
Yeah, I remember. I was there.
We expected it. I mean, and we said when they told us to play, and we said, oh, you know, it's going to be crazy. And they said, no, don't worry, Canada will be different, you know. And they said, no, you know, kids are the same.
But they should have had as a hook, you know, and give us each the hook and get us off the stage.
Oh, no. Well, you left
That's
after
what you
about
gotta do.
a couple of songs anyway.
No,
you only did, what, 4 songs or something?
We did 40 minutes.
No, we left early. Didn't we leave early?
Not till
My guitar
Crete.
stopped working.
I made a mistake in Crete and I went crazy. And you just took off your guitar and said, forget it.
It was...
How
When they
did you
start
feel?
doing that, see, that really makes you nervous. Then everything
Really?
starts falling apart, you know.
How did you feel when you walked off the stage? Like,
I
you didn't care?
was optimistic pretty much until the bottles started coming, you know, and then I was like ducking them. But you know.
What do your families think of all this now? I mean, what do they think of the whole...
They're disgraced.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my mom had to leave town.
Ever since they heard about punk rock.
Pack up and leave town.
Were they supportive of you when you first started in the early days?
Well, when you first start playing the guitar, no, they never were supportive, you know. They said, you know, you don't have to play a song, you know, it's a bunch of noise. But then once they see you starting to succeed and having fans and albums, then they're right behind you.
What kind of
Fair weather friends.
They check the record stores to make sure that your album's there, and if it's not, they give the guy a hard time and all, you know.
They buy the album for presents for people, you know.
Right.
Why?
Sure, a good stab in the back.
Oh, really?
Because I know all parents really hate rock. I mean, like my parents are old people, so maybe some parents don't.
How do you think your music's developed over the years, and where do you see it going in the next little while?
It's hard to tell. I mean, each album you try to make it a little different. And
We're doing well here, though, now. Our album, it's getting played on all the top stations, Chum and all.
You know,
it's great.
You just try to make each album different so that your fans don't grow tired and that you don't get tired of it. And, you know, you always try out new ideas.
Is there ever the danger of losing that raw edge, maybe? You know?
Not for us.
Nah.
I don't think so.
I doubt
It's
it.
just our chemistry, you know. It's we're not like other people.
The new music will be right back after these messages with ZZ Top.
And everyone has acknowledged the group as an original sound. We've heard them throughout the show. Now meet Joey, Johnny, Dee Dee, and Marky Ramone. You can hear we've got an enthusiastic audience here. Now, let me ask you, you started out in New York about 5 years ago, and you came in with something that we're calling now new wave music. Did you do this as a reflection back on the old rock music, or were you trying to do something completely new?
Well,
What do you think?
we started about 7 years ago now?
7 years ago?
About 7 years ago, and I think we recorded our first album. I think that
was about 5 years. That's right.
I think what was missing was all the fun, excitement, and the energy out of rock and roll. So we wanted to do something new, but we wanted to look back and see all the good things that had been done.
Yeah.
And,
So you were really pulling from the past, getting the best of the past.
well, you have to
and
be
bringing- updating
influenced
it.
by something. You're influenced by everything that's gone down in rock and roll since it started.
What were some of the major influences on you as a group forming?
I suppose like hit singles, all the groups that had hit singles.
Just the major top 40 rock and roll that you grew up with.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, things like, you know, surf music, the Beatles, all the early English Invasion,
Yeah.
other things too, like the Stooges. And
Yeah. Now, what would you consider, is there one moment that you considered a break, the big break? Did that happen for you?
No.
This is our big break.
This is it tonight.
This is it. Well, I don't know what kind of break it is. Probably this is more like a multiple leg injury rather than a break. But yeah, listen, see if you have some questions. I'm sure you do. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have been trying to become superstars for a long time now, and by getting Phil Spector on your latest album, you thought that would do it, and apparently it had not. Are you going to try something different on your upcoming one? And also, do you blame Sire Records for failing to promote you properly?
Well, it wasn't all right. I mean, Phil Spector approached us 3 years before, you know, because he admired and respected the band, and you know, he expected what we've done and how we've, you know, influenced the whole movement, like the music we're playing now. Is our kind of trademark, you know. It's something we developed ourselves, you know. And we went over to England '76 when they were into pub rock, Dr. Feelgood type music, and kicked up a whole new form of music, you know. Some people call it new wave or punk or whatever, but it's just rock and roll, you know. It's exciting rock and roll music the way it should be played anyway, you know? I mean, rock and roll isn't Billy Joel or Linda Ronstadt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I think also we're more into doing what we believe in rather than just do something to become superstars, something like that.
Compromising so much.
And we just do what we believe in. So you don't really need to make a next step to become superstars.
Yeah.
We have our fans are really great, and we're happy doing what we're doing.
You do have some loyal fans. I can vouch for it
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here comes the death wish. How do your parents feel about your success?
Well, they all started bands too.
Is that right? Did you have some music tradition in the families for some of you?
No.
No? No? Not at all?
No.
Do you think new wave music will be around for a while?
I guess it'll just evolve into something else, you know.
Has your music changed? Have you felt a big change in your music since you started out those 7 years ago?
Not a big change. I mean, each album, you want to make each album a little different, and you have to grow and things like that, and hopefully not lose track of what you set out to do to begin with.
But we've really noticed the influence on major, bigger bands like Queen and, you know, Led Zeppelin, people like that. They're more concerned now about writing good songs, the Rolling Stones, rather than putting one good song on and 14 fillers or 12 fillers, you know, and people seem to be trying a little harder these days, too.
Yeah. Well, it's a leaner business out there, and it takes that dedication to it, I guess. Yeah.
I just want to know from Dee Dee and Joey, you're not really in love with Rick Randall, are you? Please say you're not, please.
Tell us who she is. Yes. And another question, Mickey?
She's married.
I gather that come on, guys. I gather that you think rock and roll has declined since the 50s. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's declined since the late 60s when, I guess, when drugs became real big. And groups started, like, overindulging, and they got away from playing rock, and they just got into writing, you know, playing 20-minute songs and things like that. And then the radio just became a big business and pushed mediocrity on young people.
Like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right, thank you very much. You know, whether you're a Ramones fan or a Bach addict, the message of music always moves. Now, before we go, the Ramones will sing one last song, and this is called I Want to Be Sedated. I'm Fred Newman. I want to be sedated.
What the hell made you want to start a band in the first place?
Well, it's something we've always wanted to do. I guess ever since, you know, well, I know ever since I've seen the Beatles on Ed Sullivan or something, I wanted to do this, you know. And also you want to we were kind of disgusted with the music we were hearing also in America on the radio. Everything's gotten very fabricated, and it's not real anymore. It's not from the gut and soul anymore, and you want to do something about changing it and making things better, which since the time we came out, things have totally changed and have gotten better in a lot of senses, you know, as far as a whole, like, new wave of new music by people who do care, who want to see change and see something, see music being bettered, you know.
Were you influenced in any way by the UK music scene?
Well, we were here before it was there, you know. Like when we started, it was '74. At that time, the only music in the UK was pub rock. That was the big music. Dr. Feelgood. And when we went to England, summer '76, we met the likes of those bands who were just forming their band, who were influenced by our first album. So, you know,
before any of the English groups put out an album, we were already up to our third album.
Right.
By the time anyone, like the first Sex Pistols album came out or something like that.
There are a lot of people who think that the UK music scene influenced the American thing.
We're aware of that.
And the things you actually got into music for, because the things you were hearing at the time you were sick and tired of, you thought they were too stylized. Do you think you've had any influence in actually changing that?
Yeah, I think
sure.
I think there's been a big change, you know. Anytime you have to get kids to feel like they can do it, and to go out and buy guitars and start bands, and, you know, try to do something that's exciting and fresh instead of just a bunch of old men playing stuff that it's not rock and roll.
Do you think it matters, though, whether the people are young or old who play the music?
Well, they just have Not really, but as it turned out, that they just have this. They don't have fresh ideas anymore. You know, you could be old and have fresh ideas, but we're just talking about the groups that have been around for so long. You know, all the big groups, and then all these other groups that came out after them just try to be like them. Like there's all these Led Zeppelin imitations and things like that. We just wanted some fresh ideas, you know, not imitations of people, new things.
How important, you know, in thinking of what you've just said, how important is success in all of that?
Well, that's what you're striving for, and the final product, the final outcome.
Yeah, you want to succeed, but you don't want to.
But you don't want to lose your values at the same time either, you know. And
or integrity. You don't want to compromise and do something that you're not. You have to do what you set out to do, and try not to lose track. A lot of people, I'm sure, set out to do that, but maybe they weren't aware of it, or something they lost track. You just have to try to stay aware of it, always keep thinking of it, you know, what you set out to do and your goals. And
a lot of people think that they are successful now, that think they have done it and haven't lost track, though they have, you know.
But I think the whole new music has made a lot of the bigger established groups look back and become a little more conscious of what they were doing. I can see the Rolling Stones and all that becoming more conscious of what they're doing now.
Yourselves, are you ever concerned, perhaps, at the lack of success, as opposed to other bands that might have copied you over the years and who seem that much more successful today?
Well, you try not to let that bother you, because they are different, and the bands that did succeed are more middle of the road, and a lot of them made compromises along the way to succeed, and that's not what we wanted to do. We believe in trying to succeed at what we're doing, and we're determined to make it the way we are.
Well, we're four guys that grew up together in the same neighborhood, almost on the same block, and we always had an interest in rock, and we just got fed up with what we were hearing, and so we just decided to create what we wanted to hear ourselves.
We started in '74, like the summer of '74, and there was nowhere to play. Like the only place was Max's, and Max's was you had to have a recording contract to play Max's. So we found CBGB's, like it was just a bum bar on the Bowery, and nobody was playing, but like we saw that it could become a scene. Like we wanted to develop it, make it something, you know. So we started playing for Hilly and the Dog, and eventually got up to like 700 people a night, and
there wasn't very many people in the audience at all, and after we were through, someone came over to us and said, "Are you guys a joke? Are you a parody of a rock group or something like that?" And we said, "No." We said, "You know, we're dead serious." And then our audiences just slowly started growing, and you know, and they started getting us off more, and we were getting them off more, and it just developed that way.
When we started out, we weren't really serious, you know. We didn't think anybody would like the stuff we're doing, because it was all kind of like negative, like I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. And so what we really wanted to do was just record, you know, like get a record contract and record one album, so we'd each have an album, and then break up, you know. But people liked us, so you know, we got serious about it and just kept playing, you know. Well, we've been influenced from the beginning of rock and roll, from Elvis to Buddy Holly, the Beatles, you know, everything that's gone down, all the hits, you know.
I've liked everyone from the Stooges to Ricky Nelson.
Really?
Yeah. I have a lot of different backgrounds in what I like. As long as it was always good rock and roll, I liked it.
Well, the first album was kind of, I guess, a conceptual album, more or less, because it was something that nobody's ever done or heard before, more or less, you know. And this album we've progressed a lot. We've gotten tighter. We're playing, this album's heavier and louder, and I guess progressive more, to the point where like the songs are diversified, you know. Like all the songs are different.
What kind of a comparison would you make between a song like Blitzkrieg Bop and Sheena?
Well, Sheena's like, they're both kind of pop-oriented.
But Sheena was like we love surf music, and we thought we'd write a surf song, and that's Sheena.
Are you telling teenagers to go down the basement, sniff glue, and...
No, those songs are more tongue-in-cheek. We're not telling anyone to sniff glue or hit people over the head with bats.
Are you adding more violence to the society with your music? Are you creating violence with your music?
Well, actually, like the music's violent, but it's like it gets all the aggression out of the kids, you know. Like after they see a show of ours, they're ready to collapse, you know, because it just like they take it all out during the show. It doesn't make them go outside and kill people when they leave the show, you know. I mean, like it just gets out all their frustrations.
You've been involved in this thing since the beginning. What is punk rock?
It's very high energy, raw, you know, kind of music, I guess.
It's rock and roll, stripped down, I guess. Played with a lot of aggressive energy. It's like music that reflects street culture, I guess.
It's kind of a rebellious, you know, like it's just real and raw, and there's no crap involved.
Shot. I know you did, right?
Yeah, no.
Is it on, Jerry? Okay, you rolling?
Yeah, it's on. Want to do an audio check?
Speed here. Okay, you just talk to you a little bit. I just want to get a sound level. You see okay there? Yeah. You're fine, right? Okay, you rolling? No set? Okay. You know, you come out here from New York, and I know you've been playing recently been playing a bunch of club days. What's the transition like for you to all of a sudden come out and play a crowd of 100,000 people?
I suppose once you get over a certain amount, it really doesn't really matter how many people. You know, you're playing in a big place. We're used to it. I mean, you do clubs and we do colleges and you do theaters for 4,000 or 5,000 people, depending on the city. And you know, your nerves can be the same in any place. You know, doesn't really matter.
Well, were you excited about the prospect of coming out here and doing a big rock festival like in California? Was the idea exciting to you?
I guess I was very apprehensive about it, you know, because you're playing for a lot of people who aren't familiar with you at all, and we're used to, and we enjoy playing mostly for just our audience, so that you know how things are going to be that night. So we were worried about it because a lot of people they probably heard of us, but they hadn't really heard us. So our type of music, I don't think we really is good for transforming large crowds to our way, you know.
Well, it seemed you got a very good reaction out here today. It seemed like everybody got very
It went very well, and this festival was put together very well, and it was really well done. Everybody was really nice.
An interesting thing, though, I think, with this festival that points out one difference, because it is sort of, you know, you can make it relative to something like Woodstock in a sense. At one time, rock and roll audiences could watch any group and groove on it, right? Today here, for example, in this lineup, they have 3 different lineups, almost meant for 3 different types of audiences.
Definitely. That's why I'm saying it was put together very well, and usually I don't like festivals. It's usually very disorganized, and I wouldn't normally want to do it, but this one, very well put together. They try to fit the right type of groups together on the right days, and it's very well organized.
And what do you think about the theme of the festival, that they want sort of a union of like rock and advanced technology to achieve some kind of harmony? Does that make any impression on you at all?
I wasn't familiar with the whole thing, you know. We just got added on pretty late and got here. We didn't get a chance. I just heard about all these exhibits that have been set up. I wasn't even aware of it until just a few minutes ago.
You think
it's a nice idea, I guess.
So you feel that the quickly arranged trip for 3,000 miles from New York was worth it to be here today and see what was going on?
Oh yeah, as it turned out, it turned out very well. And I'm really pleased about it.
Thanks very much.
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks.
Things sure have changed since we got kicked out of high school.
Oh, where are you going?
Going to Mr. McGree's class.
Oh, well, I'm happy to see that some students still are interested in their studies.
Hey, we're not students, we're the Ramones.
Ramones?
You're responsible for making that horrible rock and roll music? You've turned the whole school against me.
Sloth. Oh, 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 sloth. Oh.
That's wild. Look at those trees. That's wild, right?
Yeah, that's a park.
Yeah, it's cool. You wanna go? Is there animals in there?
I don't think so. It's 7:30 Friday.
Tell. Be quiet. Look at that. It's wild with the. Those ruins are those houses or ruins? Where? Are those houses and ruins?
Those houses in ruin. Ruins and houses.
Oh, sloth.
Oh, sloth. Oh, sloth. By the way.
Sloth.
Sloth. Oh, sloth. Oh, sloth. Oh, sloth. Oh, sloth. Oh, sloth. This is gonna get all on tape.
Sloth.
Nice field.
Yeah.
Nice field.
Yeah.